In this video, I'm going to show you how to finish a zippered hoodie pattern with the separating zipper and the hood application. So it's nice and neat when you wear it half zipped and you see the inside of the garment kind of forming lapels on the body. And we're going to be using really fun bias binding to do a little pop of color on the inside when you unzip the hoodie. And then we're also going to thread through some cording and have some of these cord stoppers to make a really nice cinched in waist. And I'm using our Huron hooded zippy pattern from our So Quick and Easy Volume 3 collection that you can download for free at sewdaily.com. So I have done some first steps in order to get to the spot where the separating zipper comes in. So I've already stitched the shoulder seams, the side seams, the sleeves, set in my sleeves, and installed my cuffs. Then I also went ahead and did a little bit of interfacing, about 1.5 inches in and then 1.5 inches up, and I installed a buttonhole. But you could also install a rivet or grommet, anything that you want to get a nice secure hole for us to thread in our elastic cording for that nice cinched in waist. But if you don't want to do that, if you want a looser fit hoodie, you can just leave it open. And I just went ahead and finished the hem with a stretch zigzag stitch. Remember, when we're working with stretch fabrics, your stitches need to stretch too. So I'm going to go ahead and take my separating zipper on one side. I'm going to separate it. And then I'm going to take this side and flip it right sides together. And since the hem is already finished, this is the most important part to match up. So I'm just going to match up these exactly at the bottom with the hem. And then just pin and then stitch all the way to the top. So I'm going to pin both of my zipper tapes on each side, and then I am just going to take my zipper foot and stitch close to my zipper teeth. So now that I have the zipper installed, here is the fun part. So along that zipper edge, we are going to add some bias binding, and it's great to just get a pre-pressed version, and I'm just going to sandwich it in like so and pin it in place. I just like to go right up to the top. And then when you get down to the bottom, leave some extra because we are going to flip it up to finish it. So I'm just going to pin and sandwich my zipper tape. And this step is totally optional. You can leave your zipper as is, but it's just so fun to have a little pop of color. So I'm just going to pin on both of my zipper tapes, and then I'm just going to take my regular stitch. I'm probably going to switch back to my regular presser foot and just stitch down in place. So while I was at my machine, I also went ahead and finished the bias binding at the bottom by flipping it to the wrong side and then just top stitching along that same stitching line. And I love this effect because look, from the right side, if you do up the zippy, just looks like a plain zipper installed, but when you wear it half zipped, like so, you get that really fun pop of color and it's nice and finished. So now I'm just going to thread through my cording and insert my cord stops through my open buttonhole. And then lastly, we can install the hood with a nice covered finish so it's nice and neat on the inside too. So I'm just going to take a safety pin, or if you have a drawstring cording tool, you can do that. But I like to just use a safety pin, so I'm just going to insert that into one end and just thread it all the way through. So once they're threaded through, you can grab your cord stops and then just cinch in and gather in that waistline. And the casing is created just by your hem stitch. And then you can just disperse the gathers evenly. And then I just like to tie a knot at the end of my cording. And then just trim it. And I love, again, so much fun with color. I match my cord stops to my bias. So now the last step in this kind of zippy technique, we are going to install the hood. So I've already gone ahead and stitched the two hoods, center back seam, right sides together, and then I stitched the hoods together around the opening so you have a seam finish that's framing the face. And on the inside hood, I went ahead and pressed up the seam allowance to the wrong side because this is going to be used to cover the attachment seam so we get that nice, neat finish. So I'm just going to trim this excess zipper tape and bias, and you don't have to worry about finishing it because it will be concealed in that hood seam. And I am going to take my hood and the unpressed seam, I am going to match it up right with the top of my neckline, and I am going to be starting stitching right there and then pulling this away and stitching my hood to my neckline, and I'm matching up my center back notch with my center hood seam. So I'm going to pin my hood to my neckline of my hoodie and then going over to my sewing machine with a stitch. I'm going to be starting right there. So once you have the hood stitched to your neckline, I just like to give it a quick press, the allowance up towards the hood. And then we're going to take that pressed inner hood and we're going to wrap around, and we are going to conceal that seam and pin that pressed edge to cover that seam. And you just want to make sure that you're matching up the center backs of your inner hood and outer hood. And you can see why pre-pressing that inner hood bottom allowance is super helpful in this step. So once you have this all pinned, you are going to go to your sewing machine, and with a straight stitch, with a longer stitch length, you are going to stitch in the ditch along that neckline seam, catching that pressed edge underneath. If you're not comfortable with that, or you see it a little intimidating on the machine, you can just go ahead and hand stitch it around so you could get more control. And once that's complete, you are totally done. Your Huron hooded zippy pattern. This is a great way, not for this just particular pattern, but any hoodie pattern, you can do a little pop of color, making sure that the zipper and the hood seams are nice and finished, so when you wear it open, it's nice and neat. So I hope you enjoyed this little zipper tip, and make sure to grab the pattern for free at sewdaily.com, part of our Sew Quick and Easy Volume 3 collection. And more importantly, make sure to like and subscribe to this video and channel so you never miss another free pattern tutorial and tip. Can't wait to see all your hoodie patterns and zippers.